Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a successful motivational speaker and trusted life coach, Nancy knows how you can live the life you want regardless of the challenges you face. Although she's legally blind, Nancy's mission is to inspire others to overcome obstacles and live life full out. Nancy will help you overcome setbacks and embrace all life has to offer. To ask Nancy for advice on topics such as relationships, finances, business, health, and more, call in with questions live. And now, here's Nancy. Living Full Out with Nancy.
Welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and I'm here with my assistant, Anna Ross. And today we have a very exciting show. We're going to be talking about letting go of the fear and anxiety that comes with unhealthy cycles in our lives. We want you to live full out in life. We want you to achieve your highest and greatest potential. So that is the focus of our show today. We have so many exciting guests. Tell me, Anna, what's going on today?
All right, well, we have another very exciting schedule today. First of all, we're going to be taking calls, and we're going to be on the Twitter page, so we'll be paying attention to you at Nancy Solari. You can also call in at 800-333-0001. And again, if you have any burning questions, anything you're wondering about, that number is 800-333-0001, and we'll be listening. We also have Victor Rivas-Rivers. He is an athlete, an actor, an activist, an author, anything that starts with an A, he's done it. And we also have, at the end of the show, we're going to be doing a coaching corner with Nancy. So she'll be helping someone out, and we can apply that to ourselves as well.
That is so exciting. And again, call in 800-333-0001. Now, we had quite a bit of activity this week, dialogue on our Twitter feed.
We did. Actually, let's head over there right now.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. And normally I have my computer. My computer is sick. It's sick.
Oh, no.
It's ill right now.
Oh.
We're working on it. But here we are. Okay, for example, last week we have Jenny Morrison at JennyM_no regret says, I have a very addictive personality. I can't quit smoking, for example. What can I do to break these habits and become happier?
You know what? We all have addictions. I mean, I love Mountain Dew. You've seen me drink it before the show.
It
is an addiction, but the first step is to admit it. But actually, anytime we have an addiction, I believe personally in the power of community. Just like this show, just like calling a friend, a community to get over what it is that we're trying to break, that bad habit, that cycle again. Yeah.
I need a Marshmallow Peeps group.
Oh.
I need a group.
I
don't even celebrate Easter, but I need the peeps.
Those are good. That's a great tweet, though. Do we have any other ones?
Let's see. We have someone who today we put out a question on Twitter. How would you describe yourself in 5 words? At Kelly_Catherine says, I would describe myself as funny, loyal, curious, moody, and motivated. Those
are great, great words. And really, I'm so glad that you're motivated because that's what it's all about.
Motivated enough to send us a tweet.
Absolutely.
At Nancy Solari.
Absolutely. Now, what would you say? What are your 5 words that would describe yourself?
Hopefully, funny.
Okay.
Moody, arguably, quirky, and I would say easily stressed out.
Ooh, that's.
I think that's 5.
Wow, that must be where all that bubbly energy comes from, And
there's like a whole well of stress underneath all the bubbly energy.
Oh, don't! We're here for you. We're here for you, the community.
I need a support group.
And it was so interesting when I did that. I found that my 5 words were loving, caring, protective, loyal. I'm right there for the people in my life. I love you guys, all my community here. So now today we have so many wonderful guests, and I know we have some calls that are going to be coming up too.
Absolutely. 800-333-0001. So you guys keep connected with us. And our first caller is Kim. I don't know if she's here with us right now, but let's find out.
Let's
Kim,
see.
are you here?
Kim, hello. Welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Kim. How are you doing today?
Very well.
Good, good. Tell us, tell Ann and I, what's going on today?
So, last year I moved to a new company, and I've been wanting to be more outgoing and social, but I don't really have the motivation to do it because at work I usually try to keep busy and to myself, and when I'm by myself, I like to spend time with my dog and cook, and I don't really feel like I need to be outgoing, but I want to.
So when you're at work, you're not outgoing, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. What qualities about yourself do you like? What are some qualities about yourself that you could share with other people?
Well, I feel like I'm genuinely really caring and kind.
And,
And
and I would second that. You seem very caring and kind. What other
thank you.
qualities do you have?
I feel like when I do know, like when I actually learn to get to know someone, that we can genuinely connect, but I have a hard time actually making the connection at first.
Okay, but once you do connect with somebody, are you a good friend? Are you a loyal friend?
Yes, I believe so.
You are? Okay.
And an active friend.
And an active friend, and yeah, very much so. And also, I just have another question for you. Are you, would you go the extra mile to help someone?
Yes, I really would.
Okay. So the reason why I ask you these questions is because that is a friend that I would like to have in my life. Right, Anna?
Me too.
And so right now, you are a dynamo. You are loyal, you're protective, you're loving. You have so many qualities that are generous and wonderful to give to others, that when you be by yourself, when you're introverted all the time, you're not allowing others to experience you. You're an amazing person. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So there's going to be times that it's perfectly fine to be home with your dog. I love being with my dog Lionel, so I get that. But there are definitely times where, to live life full out means that we're on the court. We're taking swings in life. We're putting ourselves out there. So if you don't share yourself with other people and put yourself in situations that might feel a little bit uncomfortable from time to time, you're not allowing yourself to live full out in a full way. Would you agree, Anna?
You're living partially out.
Partially out, exactly. So do you think this week, I'm going to give you a little bit of a homework assignment here. This week, I want you to connect with two people. One person that you've lost touch with, and I also want you to become friends or make a connection with one new person that you don't know.
All right.
Can you do that?
I sure can.
Wonderful. And then what I'd love for you to do is send us a tweet or call back into the show next week, but we'd love to see how that goes.
All right.
All right. We believe in you, and stay on the line. Let us go ahead and get your information so we can stay in touch, but definitely keep us posted, okay?
All right.
All right. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Nancy.
It's so interesting. I was with a group of friends the other day, and my friend was saying, no, I have a lot of friends. I'm not really looking to meet any more friends. And
I'm at my friend quota. I've met my quota. I don't need more friends.
Exactly. And I'm looking at her and thinking, boy, I'm always accepting applications for friends. I could never have too many. I mean, are you kind of open to friendships, or are you one that's restrictive?
I think I'm pretty open to friendships. However, I will say that on my Facebook page, or my Facebook, I'm collecting, I'm hoarding friends. And it gets to the point where you look at your list, and I'm like, I don't even think I know 1,027 people. I don't know that I know all of these people anymore. I don't. You meet one person, you get really excited, and you're like, yes, new friend. You Facebook them, and you're like, we're friends now. I click the button. That's it. We're friends.
All right. So same assignment as Kim, Anna.
Okay.
I'm going to hold you to it, okay? You got to connect with one new friend and then flourish a relationship that you've lost touch with.
Okay, well, I will say some of my friends, I'm from Canada originally, near Toronto, and some of my friends were in town last night, and they're a band called The Dirty Mill, shout out, and they were playing near my place, just in LA. So I went over, kind of reconnected a little bit, and then yeah.
You got a head start before the show.
I did a bit. I'll do it again. I'll do it again. I'll reconnect this week. I hope Kim does too.
Yep.
We actually have a second caller.
Great.
It's Victoria.
Okay. Hi, Victoria. Welcome to the Living Full Out Show. How can we help you?
Hi, Nancy. I'm Victoria.
Hi, Victoria.
Hello. I lost quite a bit of weight last year, about 50 pounds, and I haven't gained any of it back, but I've really lost the motivation to lose more weight, and I need to lose about, 30 to 40 more pounds to be at a healthy weight.
Okay.
But I haven't found myself to be able to be as passionate about it as I was last year.
You know what? And right now is such a big workout time that I'm sure plenty of our viewers are shaking their head going, I hear ya, okay? Because that is tough. What was the major motivation? I mean, obviously better health, right? But what
Right.
was it, what motivated you last time that you don't have this time?
Last time, I think I just was in a place where a lot of my family was sick. They were having health issues, and they were a lot older. They're quite a bit older, and I'm still very young, and I didn't want to be there like really soon. So I kind of had like a wake up call, and I need to do it now before I get to be to that point.
Are all those people in your family, and I'm hoping they are, but are they all healthy, or are some of them still in their cycles of not the best habits?
Well, they had all of their diseases could be traced back to weight.
Uh-huh.
So they have their problems under control now, but mostly with medication, and I don't want to be there.
Okay. Well, the thing where I'm going with this whole thing is you want to find something that is going to motivate you. Sometimes it might be remembering back to what was your initial motivation, perhaps looking at other family members, reminding yourself constantly of bettering your health. I know for me, one time when I was trying to lose weight, I had a friend, and my vision was better then, so I'm legally blind now, but when I could see better, I had a friend take a picture of me in a bikini, and that was a reality shock. Okay, because I looked at myself and I thought, not so good. I didn't want to look that way, So sometimes maybe it's taking a picture of yourself. Maybe it's finding a time in your life when you felt you looked and felt the most healthy. What do you think, Anna?
Right.
I agree, and on my Instagram feed, you see the hashtag like GymRad and all of this. Pictures are a good way to do it, but at the same time, don't sacrifice any kind of mentality stuff for physical stuff. Be healthy mentally as well. Don't ever stop loving yourself, and just really, be comfortable with who you are, and don't think about bettering yourself so much as just feeling more active and feeling more healthy and feeling good.
I agree completely. The thing about feeling good, though, is sometimes it is physical because we want to feel alive, we want to feel sexy, we want to feel polished, but it is very much emotional. It is, making sure that you understand the value of your worth. And the fact that you're even calling in today, that is a beautiful, courageous woman that I am so grateful that we've had this time with you. So what I'd like for you to do is keep us posted on your progress. Let our Living Full Out community support you as well. So will you stay posted and tweet us from time to time or call back into the show?
I think so. That would kind of keep me, like a little extra push, knowing that somebody, kind of watching. That would make sense.
Absolutely. And you know what? I just started a weight loss challenge with a friend, just, the extra 20 pounds. And so I'm going to be right there with you, okay? So I'll tweet you, you tweet me, and we'll get this done, okay?
All right, I can do that.
All right. Hey, stay on the line. Let's go ahead and get your information so we can stay in touch. So,
thank you.
Great call. Thank you for calling in. And really, everything that everybody's saying today really comes down to motivation, comes down to building that community, being a support to each other. And then, of course, we have such dynamic guests coming up, right?
We do, yes. We have Victor Rivas-Rivers. He's a former Miami Dolphin. He's an actor. He's an author. He's an activist. He's going to be talking to us about preventing domestic violence. And I'm really excited to see him on the show. I saw him in the green room. I had the pleasure to meet him, and it should be a really great conversation.
That is wonderful. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Why am I here? Why do I care? Why is a man involved on this issue? Well, it's because of a woman I know. This woman had come from another country with her husband and 2 young sons, like so many other immigrant families, to pursue a better way of life here in America, only to find herself and her children terrorized by the oppression of domestic violence and child abuse that took place on a level of torture in their home. For 15 years, after giving birth to 3 more children and carrying the burden of cooking, cleaning, childcare, and a full-time job at a factory, this woman also endured the physical, psychological, and spiritual wounding at the hands of her husband. Until one day, when she set off on foot to the local laundromat, pulling her family's many loads of laundry behind her in a cart. That woman didn't return home that day. On the way there, she collapsed in the street, and she was rushed to a hospital, where doctors determined that she was so close to death, they told her she was in God's hands. That woman remained in the hospital for 2 weeks as a Jane Doe because she was too frightened to give her real name for fear of the punishment she would receive if she did live. And back home, her children had no idea where the mother was. And the two oldest sons thought that maybe the father had finally killed her and that she was never coming home. Well, fortunately, this woman did survive her collapse. But upon returning to the household, the domestic violence only increased. I also speak because of a boy I know. This boy went to his city's police department, and he took off all his clothes in front of a room full of police officers. And as the boy stood there naked, the officers were horrified that this boy's body was covered in bruises, welts, and burns. The boy told the police, "My father's doing this to me, to my siblings, and to my mom." And then he pleaded with him. He said, "Please go to my house and arrest him and get him out of there for good." What the police said they could do was to have the boy sign a formal complaint, and they would put him in the car and drive him back to the house to talk to the father. The boy said, "You don't. If I do that and you don't arrest him, when you leave, he's going to kill me." The police said there was nothing more they could do, that it was a private family matter. The year was 1967, and that boy at the police station was me.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and I am so excited to be here today with Victor Reeves-Rivers. And I got to tell you, Victor, you are so inspiring to me. Listen to this, everybody. Not only has he played for Miami Dolphins, he's been a successful actor in television and film. He's written his own book, and he's an advocate for supporting those who go through domestic violence. And a lot of that is due to his own personal story, which I'm really honored for you to share that story with us today. And thank you so much for coming.
Well, it's my pleasure. Basically, I grew up in a home where domestic violence and child abuse took place on a level of torture. And when I say that, I'm not exaggerating. As a child, I was beaten, I was tied up, I was locked in closets, I was hammered, I was burned, to name a few. And this happened to everyone in our family, primarily my mother, myself, and of course the siblings, but this even included our pets. And this was at a time when there were no hotlines for my mother to call, no shelters for her to turn to. And basically my father was able to, live outside the house. High security clearance job, very friendly, handsome, charming guy. Inside our house lived a much different person, which included having the police at our house several times, where they basically told my father to keep my mother in line. Over the years, at 6.5 years old, I witnessed my mother being brutally beaten and kicked in her stomach in her 9th month of pregnancy with my brother Robert. So my brother Robert was born developmentally disabled to such a degree that he was immediately institutionalized. So my brother Robert did not live past the age of 9. So, that's one of the tragedies that happened within our family.
I just have to ask you, because that is so much just even to take in, that the fact that you went through all that physical pain, but the emotional pain. As a child, how did you handle that? Where did you take that anger? Where did you take that sadness, that frustration? How did you internalize that?
Well, I would say that I grew up, because I was being bred into violence, that I grew up, a very angry, violent child. I fought a lot. I was not a bully, but it didn't take much to set me off.
You learned those skills from your dad.
I learned those skills
obviously.
from my dad, and so you know. But I also internalized a lot of that, not only with anger, but you know, with sadness, with homicidal thoughts, with suicidal thoughts. You know, especially as I got into junior high, and that you know eventually led to you know my going to the police station and disrobing in front of a room full of police officers so they could see my body, but they ultimately sent me away that day saying that there was nothing more that they could do, that it was a private family matter.
You know, that to me is just, it actually hits a chord with me because, and we talked about this in one of our previous calls, I don't know if the viewers know this, but when I was 10 years old, my parents were in a violent relationship because my dad had a temper as well. And I actually had to call the police on my parents to stop their fighting. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to get my parents in trouble. So I called my grandparents to have them call the police because of that private matter situation. You don't want to get people in trouble, but you were so brave and so strong to walk into that police department. I honestly, I don't know where you found the strength.
Well, I mean, we were really, we needed to have some type of remedy, and we weren't getting it from them arriving at the house because they kept saying that they would need to catch him in the act. So I figured, here's a child covered in bruises, welts, and burns. They would react, but their hands were tied. They wanted me to sign a formal complaint. They put me in the car. But the end of that story is basically that's the day that I came home and sat my older brother and my mother down, and I said, if I get a gun and I shoot him, will you back me up? And they didn't say yes, but their eyes did. And I went out looking for a gun in my neighborhood, and back in those days, they were much harder to come by. So I'm very, very thankful that you know, I didn't get a gun.
That you could find a gun.
I couldn't find a gun.
Now, your story does not end there. Your dad not only further tortured your family physically, but then, you know, tell us about your mom and how he took you to Florida, because that to me is just devastating for the family.
Right. So at the age of 14 and a half, my father basically kidnapped us, took us from Los Angeles, California, all the way to Miami, Florida, and he had taken my mother out of the house early in the morning, told her not to make a scene, and he drove her outside of town to a motel and left her there. She was pregnant, which we did not know, and it took her 2 days to get back to the house, and when she got there, everything and everyone had vanished without a trace. And so we ended up in Miami, so I started high school in Florida, and without my mother in the household, things went from worse to horrendous. And that eventually led to the first and only physical confrontation with my father that I started in defense of one of my siblings, and I discovered that he was a coward. He wouldn't fight back, but that night I had just changed the dynamics in that house, so I basically ran away from home that night. And
When you were going to fight your dad, though, I mean, I'm sure it was a long time coming, all this buildup, but were you starting to see more qualities in yourself, that anger that you didn't want to have? That must have been even a hard moment for you, though.
yeah, I mean, I you know, you would think that I would have gotten a lot of pleasure out of you know, basically beating on my father, but I didn't, because ultimately the only thing I ever wanted from my father was for him to, you know, to love and respect me. But that's when I knew that things had really changed and what was going to happen from here on out, because I had just defeated him physically, so he could not hold that over me anymore, and I just thought it was a very dangerous situation, so I just felt like I needed to leave, and I did. I left that night and I lived on the streets, and then that's where the beginning of my story starts to change.
Well, and this is where it gets very inspiring, and this is where the true testimony of a community comes into play. Tell us more about that.
Well, after living on the streets for several days, a high school classmate of mine spotted me and told me everyone was looking for me, the school, the cops, and of course my father. And I told him my story, and he insisted that I tell my story to his father. Turned out his father was a lawyer, and I was able to get a restraining order, which was unheard of back then. That was 1971, a child taking a parent to court, but I was given my freedom, and but I really had nowhere to go. So my high school took me in. I was at 15 and a half, I was 6'2", over 200 pounds. I was a gang member, And my high school took me in and gave me 7 homes to live in from my sophomore year until my senior year of high school. And you know, we talk about we always hear the African saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I am that child. And it was a very diverse community too. There was the Jewish family that owned the Chinese restaurant, the Italian family with 9 kids, 2 Cuban families, a Southern Baptist family.
What an experience. I mean, all those different cultures raising you, essentially. Now, do you talk about all of this in your book that you wrote then? Is the whole story so that our viewers can go check that out?
Yeah, absolutely. In my memoir, it's called A Private Family Matter. Those stories are in there, and you know, the transformation of this homicidal, suicidal 15-and-a-half-year-old kid who went from being a gang member to being president of the school, scholarship athlete. You know, I ended up going to Florida State University on a 4-year football scholarship. I was a free agent draft pick with the Miami Dolphins. But I would, you know, it always takes in a certain amount of intestinal fortitude to say, you know, I'm not going to let myself fall by the wayside. But it also takes community, and I think that's a very important message for the listeners is that we all have to get involved, and you can really make a difference. And I'm the end result of what a community can do.
For all of our viewers that are watching today, how can they get involved? You know, what are the signs that they should look for so that they can be of support to somebody, a child in this situation like you were, like I was, or maybe a husband or a wife being abused? What are those signs? What should they look for? Well,
I mean, I think, you know, any type of behavioral change in you know, in a child or even in an adult, you know, if they become more reclusive, if they act out with anger and that's, you know, that's not, hasn't been their, you know, their makeup in the past. You know, if it's a student, of course, if you know, you have a kid that was an outstanding student and suddenly their grades start to fall, or you see that they're starting to hurt themselves. And those are just some of the red flags that you might spot. But I would also say for anybody who thinks that might be going on, the good news about what's been happening since my childhood is that there's a lot of resources out there. So I would say find the resources in your community so that if you reach out to that person, you know, you'll be able to say, here, I can walk you into this place or I can direct you to these services. I think that's really, really important.
Well, and I love that because truly the cycle of violence can be broken. And you are a true testament of that. I mean, when you look at your life today, just hearing you talk about your son, how much pride you have in that, and knowing that you've really come full circle. Share with us a little bit about where you are today with this journey that you've been on.
Well, over the last 15 years, I've been speaking out on the issue of ending domestic violence, violence against women, family violence in general, which is as prevalent today as it was in my childhood. That's the bad news. And in that journey, it's actually become, you know, if I was to make write another book, it would be called A Public Family Matter, because my family joined in on this journey, and that included my son, who is now a 20-year-old junior at Harvard. But he started at 5.5, speaking with me, lobbying members of Congress. He met with President Bill Clinton and asked him to reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act. So it's really about, you know, how do we leave a social footprint to create a more humane and peaceful world? And so if that, you know, I'm proud of my film work as an actor, but if I can leave that social footprint, then my story was well used, and I paid it forward to all of those people who invested in me.
And I love that. And I'm just curious, if you could go back in time and sit down with that 6-year-old boy, what would you tell him today?
I would tell him, you know, one, that you're a good boy, you're intelligent, you're loving, you're affectionate. These are all of the messages that I wasn't getting. I got the exact opposite messages. But I would also tell him that you know, that life is full of ups and downs, and you know, you have to find your own survival toolbox. I talk about that a lot, about, you know, things that each individual might have in that toolbox. For me, it was, you know, it was imagination. It was a sense of faith. You know, a lot of other things that were in that toolbox that helped me overcome those things. And I think that you know, we also have to have that frank conversation with our children about life and what's expected of us.
Well, and that's great advice. And lastly, because we're kind of coming to the end, I can't believe how fast time goes, but I feel for all those that get abused. I'm so sorry that you went through that. I'm going to think about your brother all day today and keep your mom in my heart as well.
Right.
What is your advice to those who have been abused, to those who didn't make it?
Well, I mean, we always talk about breaking the silence, and to me, you know, that's the first part of the journey of healing. Is you need to be able to talk about what's happened to you, and then I would say, and you know, reach out and talk to somebody if you need to get help. You know, I know that was something that in my parents' generation was seen as something only the crazy people did. But you know, obviously today, getting help, getting therapy, you know, finding a coach that can, you know, help you kind of overcome some of these obstacles. But the other part of the journey is that when you really evaluate what's gone on in your life, is the greatest part of my healing was when I discovered that it wasn't my fault. And I think that's when I took that biggest leap of moving forward with my life. And it's all you take it in steps. And I continue to evolve as a person. So you know, life's a journey, and it isn't going to happen overnight. But I hope that those that are going through it, that you know, see that you know, you can actually break that cycle of violence and go on to live a healthy, successful life, and also try to make a difference in the world.
Absolutely. And I will just let all of our viewers know that even though this topic is a bit heavy and it's important to keep talking about, you are a very charming, outgoing sports fan, writer, athlete, you name it. And so you have been able to thrive despite the abuse. You were able to evolve. You were able to become such a giving, wonderful gentleman and man and a father. So feel really proud about that. And we're just big fans of yours here at the Living Full Out community. And what's a last final thought you have from a motivational standpoint in helping our listeners to live full out?
Well, I would just say that you know, again, as I said earlier, life's a journey, and I would also say, and this is directed for, you know, because I'm a man speaking out on this issue, this is directed at the men that might be listening or watching, and that is that it's time for us to stand up and make a difference. Most men are good men, but many times we stand by silently. So if I could leave, and you know, your male audience a message is just, you know, let's stand up and raise our voices.
Wow, perfect message. Victor, thank you so much for coming in. Really, we've had a wonderful time with you here today. And when we come back, we're going to be heading into the coaching corner. Sarah is going to be opening up to us about the challenges that she's facing in her life. We'll be right back.
Imagine relaxing with a cup of the finest tea in existence. Complex, perfectly balanced, fragrant teas that were once only reserved for emperors and royalty are now yours to enjoy with Waterfall Teas. With a range of fragrances, flavors, and pleasures selected from the most elite tea regions in the world, the nectar of the tea leaves of our exquisite teas spreads goodness from the mouth to the whole body, making every essence of your being rejoice. Go to waterfallteas.com and let Waterfall Tea Company be your personal tea sommelier. Waterfallteas.com.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and we are in the coaching corner now. And I got to share with you, this is one of my favorite segments of the show because it's a time when we have real clients come into the corner and share with us the challenges that they're facing. It's a very vulnerable time. It's a very honest time. And so I'm very honored to have Sarah with us today. Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. So here we are in the coaching corner, and you know that this is a time when we're open, when we're trying to embrace change and move forward. What is it that's heavy on your heart today?
I have so many great things and aspirations in life to do. I'm very blessed to have many opportunities, but I can't figure out what to do, Nancy.
In what way?
I am in the middle of starting my own makeup and cosmetic line. I have been told I'm a great chef. I love kids, and I enjoy the elderly. I mean, I don't know where to put all this and sort of how to contribute back to the world.
Well, let me ask you a question. All these things that you're doing, are you successful at them?
Successful enough. I mean, they make me happy.
Okay. Are you doing these things because you really want to do them? Or are you doing them because you feel people say you should do them?
Both. I mean, I obviously get support from people telling me, oh, you're good at this, and so that kind of builds the momentum, but I do legitimately enjoy them.
Okay.
But that's almost the trouble, is that I enjoy so much that I don't know where to focus my time or my energy.
So what is important to you about focusing your time and your energy? What, if you could have that control, what would that give you? What would that give you back in your life?
Oh, I love the quality of the time, and I want to be able to give that to people and have that be ultimately fulfilling for myself and feel like I'm making a difference in the world for the better.
Okay. Do you feel like you're making a difference?
In small leaps and bounds.
Okay.
Because
Tell me about that.
I'm spread so thin that I would rather just see a big improvement somewhere instead of all these small things on all the different levels.
Okay. Now, by doing all these small things, we all have 24 hours in the day. How are you balancing your time? Are you finding that you're working all the time and no playtime for yourself? What does that look like? What's that balance?
I think sometimes that I work so hard that then I get overwhelmed and maybe play too hard. Okay. And then, like I said, I mean, I am making a difference, or I am being successful at these things. But it's just so difficult to see that in immediate change. Okay. Otherwise, it's always, kind of putting your coins into this piggy bank and putting it into that one and that one. And so across the board, you've got maybe $5 when you could have had 100 type of thing.
Does that make you scared about the future financially?
A bit. It's hard to control the outcome of things.
And again, we're going back to control. We've talked about this in further sessions. Yeah. When you don't have control in your life, how does that make Sarah as a person? Are you a angry person? Are you a sad person? Are you in denial? How does that change you as a person?
I get super anxious, and then I withdraw because I don't want to lash out on anybody. And so then that makes me kind of take care of myself and not contribute to building these relationships that I wanted to do anyways.
Okay. Have you recently blown up at somebody?
I have a bit. I think it's more complaining than getting angry, which just is negative, and there's enough negativity in the world. I don't want to contribute to that.
So when you hear yourself being negative, what do you tell yourself? Do you say to yourself, do you catch yourself going, that's not who I am, that's not who I want to be?
Yeah.
Or is there a buy-in for you there?
No, I hate it. I just try to stop and truncate, but then that energy or that feeling, that passion can't go anywhere. So it just kind of gets pushed under for a while until something new it's allowed to bring up and come back. And then I tell that to stop, and it goes over, or it goes under. And I don't know how to manage all these things that are going on and to manage them in a healthy way.
Absolutely. In your ideal situation, out of all the things that you're doing, what's the number one? What's the one that speaks to your heart the most? Rather than spreading yourself thin, what's the number one?
I don't know, Nancy.
Pick one. Think of the first thing that comes to mind.
I mean, I love to cook.
Okay.
I almost was a pastry chef.
Okay.
And I almost went to school for that in college, but doing anything full time, I just get so burnt out.
Okay.
So I almost like having different outlets, but I don't feel like that's contributing to the world because I can't give I can't do one thing completely. I can't commit to that one thing.
If you feel that you, by not committing to one thing, do you feel that that makes you less successful?
Yes.
Less of a contributor?
Yes.
Why?
Because who wants something that's half when it could be all?
Well, aren't you diversifying yourself? You have many talents, right?
Yeah.
And you're a good cook, you sew, you do all these things that people say that you're good at, and you love them all. You had a hard time picking one.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is don't be so hard on yourself, okay? You really want to acknowledge and embrace all these gifts and talents that you have. You don't want to burn yourself out. So that's why sometimes in life we have to choose one. Just move one along far enough to where you got good habits in place. You kind of got a routine going for it. Then layer another one, then layer another one. And see, when you do that, you're making successful strides. You're not trying to move 5 things ahead and all of them not really advancing to where you want them to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So what's that lead horse? What's the one that you feel is the number one?
I mean, I'm starting this own makeup company, the cosmetics, so it makes most sense to go through with that one and have literally and figuratively a product.
Okay. And that's going to take a little bit of money, possibly,
Yes.
to put together.
Yes.
It's going to take time. So again, devote that time to making that a success. Get it far enough along to where you can say, you know what, I have something really proud of here, a product. I have a company.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay? Now, it doesn't mean that you have to let go of all these other dreams, because again, you are a woman of many talents, and that's a good thing. And so many of my clients have those same talents, being diversified. So what I want you to do is, what can you do this week to help move that business forward? Just that one.
I need to make a business card, and I'm halfway designed because I was doing other things, but I should finish that, and I can order those.
Okay, so that's one thing you're going to do this week. You're going to finish the business card. Yes. And what is it about having a complete business card? What does that mean to you with regards to this business?
Oh, it means that I can start talking about it to other people, start networking, giving that to people, spreading contact information, and really getting a foot in the door in the more professional business realm.
Right, and when you start meeting more people, doors could open up financially.
Yeah.
Doors could open up to expanding the product line.
Yeah.
Okay, but by doing all that, you're going to move yourself further along. Now, one thing I do want to address with you, though, is self-care, okay? When you work those long hours, because we all know it's going to be some long hours there, what do you do to take care of yourself?
I love to read.
Okay.
I really like reading.
And how does reading make you feel?
Just so fulfilled, and it takes me to a different place where I get to be Sarah in all these different roles and pretend like I'm succeeding in all these different lives.
Oh, okay. So the great thing is, I want you to read multiple times a day, okay? Read in the morning to get yourself in a clear spot. Maybe one chapter, maybe a couple paragraphs. Read. Read in the middle of the day. If reading is what brings you calmness into your life, if reading is what allows you to dream big, then that is what you want to do. It's almost like drinking water 3 times a day. I want you to read something 3 times a day. Okay? And because when we are wrapped up in starting a business, when we're so stretched and diversified, we're kind of like a soda can all shook up, right? And what happens when you pop that top?
It explodes.
It explodes, right? So the best way to not let yourself explode is don't shake the can. And the best way to not shake that can is to give yourself those outlets. Is that something you can do?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in establishing, now that we've decided you're going to go with that one career first and put energy into that, we've now established what you're going to do for self-care. I really want you to tell me, do you believe in yourself?
Most of the time.
Okay. Let's talk about that. Why most of the time?
I think I really thrive on affirmation.
Okay.
And so in that sense, I know that I'm valuable, but I do look to other people to confirm that. And so if it's not there, I start to doubt, or those doubts creep in, or second guessing myself.
Okay. Have you always needed people to give you affirmations to say that you're good?
I didn't think I did until I moved away from family in college, and then, after, and having it not be there consistently, I really see the lack of it.
Gotcha. I could go on and on and on about you, okay? The many qualities that I see as your coach that are dynamic. But what you want to do is, what are the 2 top qualities that you have? Just the 2.
Can be very friendly.
Okay.
And I can be very patient in talking with people and allowing them to just be themselves.
Perfect. You're caring, you're patient, you are a budding entrepreneur. Hold on to that. Trust that. Because if you can hold that space for that person that we all know is going to blossom and do great things, you're going to be well on your way. Okay? So you've had a great session today. You've made a lot of good progress, and you're going to hold to what we talked about, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sarah, and we believe in you here at the Living Full Out Show. Okay?
Thank you, Nancy.
So really, so many great guests today and callers that called in. Thank you, Victor Rivas-Rivers and Sarah and all the callers, the entire staff and team that puts the show together. Thank you to everybody. But most of all, for all of the viewers today, today was about breaking those bad habits, breaking those cycles that keep us going around and around and around, hitting that brick wall. You can stop that insanity. You just have to trust yourself. You have to turn to your community. You want to seek resources. But please know that we believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out. We'll be back next week. Have a great day.